Hey guys, it's Thursday, February 16th, and this is Newswave. So the first thing to talk about today has to do around the Unreal Engine and the Nintendo Switch. So I finally have an update on the Unreal Engine site, and it basically shows up and it says Nintendo Switch support. It goes on to say we have partnered with Nintendo to help Unreal 4 developers bring their games to Nintendo Switch. It's stuff we mostly already know. It's just now official. It's up on the website. It's a major feature for their newest iteration of Unreal Engine. As we have added early support for developing games for the Nintendo Switch console, it is still considered experimental in this release, so they're still kind of working out some bugs and doing some other stuff with it as well. And it says they plan for it to be in a shippable state in the next release. And of course, this is big because Unreal Engine 4 does help developers move stuff from one to the other, which basically means PlayStation 4 to the Switch, or Xbox One to the Switch, or PC to the Switch. And this is a big deal. They've now made it official, and they said next iteration should be completely ready to roll, should be a shippable unit. In the next bit of news, sticking with the Switch, we did see a lot more of the Street Fighter first-person view that was going around for the longest time. For a while, it was rumored, of course. We said, oh, it looked like they went to that first-person view at the end of the trailer a long time ago. Well, now they've just outright shown it to us, and this was in a live stream on Capcom's YouTube site and their channel, and that was for the Japanese YouTube channel. And in it, they actually went over it. They showed us switching the first person using the Joy-Cons for more than just throwing Hadoukens. They were actually uppercutting and punching, and it did look like a mini game. I will say that it doesn't look like a big full-fledged game or anything. It looked like something you kind of go through. It's more of a mini game type thing. It looks like maybe it has some replayability for high scores and things like that, but for the most part it probably will be second or a sidekick to the main game, which of course is just straight up Street Fighter. We'll probably know more about this as we get along, hopefully get closer to a soon to be announced release date, but until then we'll just have to keep an eye out for these live streams. And the next bit of news, Microsoft is breaking from tradition big time for E3. They've announced an E3 day that they're going to show off the Scorpio and any other big announcements. This was done on their Twitter account for @Xbox, and they put up a picture that just said, hey, this is the briefing date. It's Sunday 2 p.m. Pacific time, and this would be on my side would be 5 o'clock Eastern time. A Sunday is good though. A lot of people obviously have off and can watch it. A lot of times E3 does run through a work week, so it's kind of hard to catch everything while it's happening. In this case though, it is front and center. That's probably why they wanted to do it Sunday. And it's weird because it's also before E3 actually starts. And this has been kind of common before. Other companies have done this. And this is a little new for Microsoft, though. This isn't something they usually do. So we'll have to keep an eye on it because they're going to be showing Scorpio. They have 4K printed right on the chip in that picture. I assume that means they are shooting for true 4K, not upscaled 4K. Again, makes no sense to hold this system off for a year if it's just going to do the same thing the PS4 Pro did last year. And you know what? We'll see. I'm going to give them time here. It's a while off still. E3 itself is June 13th to the 15th. And again, this would put Microsoft announcing all of their stuff June 11th, so kind of weird on their part, but we'll have to see. And after fans just begging for this update forever, Pokemon Go is finally getting that coveted second generation Pokemon update that we've all been asking for. And this is of course the Pokemon from the Johto region, and this is going to be 80 new Pokemon being entered in to Pokemon Go. And this is great because I myself kind of fell off of Pokemon Go after a little while because there were no new updates. And if you have a free-to-play game where you're counting on a cash shop, you need to update constantly. There needs to be updates all the time. I mean, this is the first big update we've had at all, where it actually adds something to it like this, and that's going to be a ton of new Pokemon. Now, they were kind of hit really hard with a lot of issues at the beginning of the entire release. That's probably what really held them off from doing this, but finally we get 80 new Pokemon, which of course goes back to like the Cyndaquil, Chikorita, and Totodile era, where we would first start off with them and then go through Pokemon Gold and Silver. Accompanying the Pokemon in this update, there will also be new evolutionary items, including berries, things like that, which would be really cool because we use berries in Gold and Silver, so that at least makes sense. There'll also be newer ways to customize your person, whether it be your avatar, which is great too. I never really get into that, but it's neat that you can change the look of your person and earn items and stuff that way. The big miss here, I think, with this update is that they still have not added the multiplayer features that we've talked about forever. And I've been wanting multiplayer for so long in this game. If they could have set it up to be more like a traditional Pokemon game, that's great. But even so, if there's like trading, which is big, obviously. I mean, Pokemon is all about trading. I get if you do it in this game, it's going to be easier for people to just get all the Pokemon they want because they can just trade rare ones in their areas for rare ones in other areas, so you don't have to travel then. But still, to me, that kind of kills Pokemon. The idea is that, I mean, you could probably do it through NFC technology, so you have to be near the person, and that kind of defeats the purpose of then trading rare Pokemon across the United States or across the world even. If you have to be near someone to touch the phone to them, that at least makes a lot more sense. But at least there's something new here. There's something for me to go back to the game. Maybe you want to go back as well. I mean, 80 new Pokemon being added. I don't know if they're adding evolutions for prior Pokemon that were announced or at least debuted with Gold and Silver, things like Steelix or Scizor. There's other Pokemon out there than just the new ones that were at least evolutions of old Pokemon. I'll have to keep an eye on it just to see if any of them are being added, but if they're adding 80 new Pokemon now, what's to say they won't add more Pokemon as we go along as well? Real quick, I'm going to stick with Pokemon here as we go along today, and we're going to jump into this interesting issue with Pokemon cards. Now, if you've not heard of this, most of the Pokemon cards that are being released in booster boxes are actually mapped to where you can count out where all the rare Pokemon are. Now, I first saw word of this on NeoGAF, and then along YouTube, people were starting to put out videos. Most popular one so far that I've seen is Max Mofo. He went ahead and talked about how he bought a booster box, and he actually displays it. He shows himself grabbing every third Pokemon pack and opening for a rare, an ultra rare, a holographic in order. So all the Pokemon booster packs that he did not open were actual junk. Like, it was stuff that wasn't worth really much. And that's bad because if you have a store that you go to and they open booster boxes, they can actually count those out, take those, open them, get the rare cards to sell, and then just put all the junk back in the booster box or just put those out for sale. I'm not really sure how this would happen. It seems very, very lazy on Nintendo's part, if that's the case here, or the Pokemon company or whoever's running their digital their distribution with cards, because that opens the door for everyone who buys these at wholesale to do this. Now, if you buy packs right now, I would recommend buying them at places like Walmart where they have them sealed up so it's like a box, you know what I mean, set, and they don't come in booster boxes. But otherwise, you might as well buy a booster box, because then you can just count the cards out and then resell the packs that you know aren't good. Now, if you're trying to complete the set, you probably will have to open those anyway, but at least you'll know if you take one and it's a holographic, count two more, take those out, get the third one, open it, and you'll get either a holographic or an ultra rare from there. Now, he wants everyone to share the video or at least share the message. I understand, because if this goes on, it's really going to hurt the Pokemon card game. And I started kind of buying more cards, and you know what? It's still really fun. So I hope this doesn't damage the card game in any way. I hope Nintendo, or again, whoever is actually distributing this and figuring this all out in the manufacturer's warehouse, gets this all figured out, and maybe it was just like the first batch of Sun and Moon or something that did this, and they just get it resolved in the future. And yesterday, Sony announced that PlayStation Now will be discontinued for the PS3, the Vita, the PlayStation TV, basically any system that is not the PS4 or the Windows PC. That includes the TVs as well. So if you have a Bravia TV that has PlayStation Now, that's getting discontinued as well. Same with the Blu-ray players or even the Samsung TVs that have it as well. So it's interesting, the TVs will actually lose service earlier than the other devices. The TVs will actually lose service April 1st, whereas the other ones will be much later in 2017. So with the TVs done right away pretty much, the other devices, the PlayStation 3 and the Vita, which is strange because the Vita came out exactly 5 years ago yesterday, so they announced this nail in the coffin again for the Vita. This is pretty much telling them that they just don't care about the Vita at this point, but it would be August 15th, 2017 that will end support for the PlayStation 3, the Vita, and the Vita TV at that point. Now, this happens with a lot of legacy systems. The Vita, I guess at this point, is just considered legacy by Sony, so there's that. But of course, it's going to happen with the PS3, although Sony needs to remember, the PS3 is still a capable machine that can do things like PlayStation Now or Sony View, or play Blu-rays. I mean, it's a full Blu-ray player. It plays the same Blu-rays that the PS4 plays fine. So as a media device, the PS3 is very capable. And PlayStation Now is designed for devices that usually cannot play games to play them. So I'm not really sure why Sony's doing this. Maybe they just found that not enough people on PS3s or the TVs are actually using the service to warrant the server costs. That's the only thing I can imagine. And if that's the case, then yes, it makes sense. Take it down, eliminate expenses, and move on with your PS4 and your Windows machines. And yes, guys, I keep saying Windows machines. That's because PlayStation Now is available in your Windows computer. If you don't know, you can actually sign up for the service and use it. And you can even use a PS4 controller by getting like a USB Bluetooth dongle. You can actually buy it, I think, from Sony, or you can do some driver work and a little bit of Windows manipulation, just make it work if you have a Bluetooth adapter, or just plug it in through a cable. And despite releasing Mario Run, for example, where they are doing no updates, Nintendo is actually smart with this Fire Emblem game that's out, Fire Emblem Heroes, because they're actually releasing it a substantial update very soon after actually launching the entire game. The big update that happened yesterday gave new characters, new side quests, all kinds of stuff, and it didn't even raise the energy costs that everyone was really worried about. So if you don't know, these free-to-play games are pretty simple. You can play them for free, but there is always this meter at the top, whether it's called a stamina bar or an energy bar or whatever else they call it. Basically, you have a set amount of turns you can take, and it just eliminates that bar's value until it's down to 0, in which case you have to pay to get more, or you just have to wait. And that's a way that they can get money from you out of a free-to-play game. They didn't raise it at all for Fire Emblem. People were positive they were going to do it, but they didn't. So that's actually interesting on Nintendo's part that they are being very, I guess they're optimistic about the player's ability to pay for stuff that does not include the stamina bar, for example. So they are okay with them having plenty of stamina to play with and then use their money for orbs, which then obviously summon new characters. And if they keep releasing characters, it will keep people coming back. And that's the biggest thing about this Fire Emblem game is it's a free-to-play game. You need people to sign in all the time to play it, because the more people that are playing it, the better chance you have of selling stuff, obviously. And if you do not update it, which was my original fear about this Fire Emblem game, people are just going to leave it. I mean, look at Pokemon Go. It was so popular for a while. They didn't update it, like I talked about before, and it dropped off like a rock. Now, it probably will come back up as people start to realize that there are 80 new Pokemon available. But if they stop updating again, people will then leave again. So yes, every couple weeks, Fire Emblem has to be updated with new people, new side quests, missions, anything, items, it doesn't matter. Just something to keep people engaged. And you know what? They're doing a good job getting started here. So I hope they keep it going, because Fire Emblem on the phone makes a lot of sense. And guys, that's going to do it for Newswave today. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Let me know what you think about any of the stuff that we talked about today, whether it be the Xbox Scorpio E3 event being moved up to jump in front of everybody with this new system, obviously. Or maybe you want to talk about the Unreal service for Nintendo, with the development times being much shorter, as developers have said, and the fact that they're throwing it up on the website as it being almost shippable at this point. Or maybe you want to talk about the Pokemon Go update with 80 new Pokemon. Maybe you're now getting back into Pokemon Go because of it. Or maybe you want to complain about the Pokemon cards scandal that's going on, and you're not happy that you could possibly be scammed out of your money by going to retailers who are opening the booster box, taking the cards for themselves. Let me know down below, guys. I will see you next time.